Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's edition of Press R. There are expensive jokes and pervasive behavior and acts that are either normalized or swept under the table in Cameroon today. See how we fail in our responsibility and complacently say Cameroon is Cameroon, or Le Cameroon, c'est Le Cameroon. After years of incestuous sexual abuse, a man impregnates his own daughter and shamelessly explains that he wants to have a pure blood child. Cases of full-blown adults who violate 4, 5, 6-year-old children abound in the country. In January 2025, that's this year, 10 femicide cases were registered in Cameroon. That's in 1 month. The other day, scores of young, able men armed with bladed weapons and clubs scared the capital city. It is a common phenomenon in the economic capital. Something is seriously wrong. Something has seriously gone wrong in our society, and we don't seem to address it with proportional attention and force. There may be several causes to such abnormal and pervasive behavior in our society, but we think that mental health is at the center of this. So on Press R today, we ask, is mental health a threat to our society today? I am Kilian Ndandi from Yaoundé, and this is Press R. This is Press R, ladies and gentlemen, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of CRTV Production Center. We are in Studio 4 here in Balatu in Yaoundé. And to discuss this topic that is essentially educative, we have invited just specialists who will help all of us understand what this topic is all about. I am talking about the one lady on the set, Wilisane Mokwen Keng is a journalist specialized in health, and she is a community health worker. We have Dr. Tumenta F. Kennedy. He is a development expert, a reinsertion, and we will have him talk at it from the point of view of development. But here we have specialists in this domain here with us in the studio. Dr. Tweke John T. is from Bamango Integrated Health Center, and he deals directly with people who have mental problems. And I would like, first of all, to welcome you to the studio. They call you John Chrisman because you deal with mad people. Yeah. Yes, you are welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Mr. Killian.
Yes, to you, Wilisane, I did not let you greet me as Dr. Tuekwe has done, and also to greet our viewers.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Nda.
Yes, and then Dr. Tumenta Kennedy, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, and the one person who deals directly with these people also, and who is at the center we know in Jamo, in Yaoundé, Dr. Kamga Olen Jean-Pierre, who is a psychiatrist. He's also a senior lecturer at the University of Yaoundé 1, and he knows so much about what we are talking about. Yes, doctor, please. We want to welcome you to the studio.
Good Sunday, Killian.
Yes, you're going to give insight to this topic that we have today, and they're going to tell us, ladies and gentlemen, there's someone who said there's no one person on earth who does not have a mental problem. Well, don't think that we are saying you mad. It's quite different. You're going to tell us what this means. But before we get there, Emanuela Vemnui read the newspapers in our slot press review for you. Manuela.
Newspapers are awash with information on progress made with the presidential plan for the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest regions the week ending. PM salutes strides and drums fresh commitment to achieve Bia's dream, headlines The Guardian Post. As PM Dion Gute assures Southwest denizens that the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the region has big package for the region in the median. The Sun reports that the PM reaffirms commitment towards peace and development, while Municipal Update sees PM restating Bia's commitment to Northwest and Southwest reconstruction development, then reiterates Bia's vigor in reconstructing and developing Northwest and Southwest. In The Advocate, actors involved in the plan then chart new recovery path in rebuilding Northwest and Southwest. In Cameroon Insider, before the Herald Tribune celebrates the spin-offs of the reconstruction plan with deal for construction of 500 million CFA francs worth Kumba City Stadium sealed in the Boya. What the Chronicle Times describes as Kumba attracts 500 million worth stadium project. Cameroon Tribune then affirms that the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest regions is well on course. At a time, the International Forum on Local Development GECOM 2025 links up councils with development partners for better opportunities. In Cameroon Tribune, PM Dion Gute reinforces government support to boost local development. In Municipal Updates, and Limbe One Council shines at the GECOM 2025, emerging first in the Southwest for My Name campaign, backing home 10 million CFA francs and 2 tricycles. In the Eden, just when lots of political news attract the attention of readers across newspapers, Kamto vows to be presidential candidate in the Guardian Post and immediately sets out on a charm offensive in the diaspora. In the Herald Tribune, in a rally in Paris, The Voice reports that Kamto vows to contest 2025 presidential poll and dismisses legal roadblocks before Bia loyalists mock Kamto's dream in the
Thank you so much, Manuela Vemnu. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Studio 4 of the CRTV Production Center here at Mbala 2 in Yaoundé. Our topic of discussion today on Press Hour is a question that is going to handle a topic that concerns all of us. It's a daily occurrence in every home, in every family, in every society. Is mental health today a threat? Now I'm going to turn to you, Dr. Kamga. You tell us what is mental health to start.
Thank you very much. Mental health is an operational concept of WHO. It's the second component of health. We first of all have physical health, the first, second, mental health, and the third is social health. So the three components function together. But specifically, mental health is isolated for better understanding and study. By definition, mental health is a capacity for an individual, a single person, to realize to achieve certain goal in his life, is the capacity to be productive, to cope with daily life stress, and finally to be productive at the level of the community. That are the four key components of mental health: the well-being, the productivity, and at the community level, the availability to be an agent of development.
Thank you. And from your definition, we don't see you send us directly to the misconception some people have when they hear about mental health. They think only of madness, of someone whose reasoning is no longer normal, who has mental disorders. So what's the difference between mental health and mental disorder?
There is a difference between mental disorder and mental health. Mental disorder are related to psychiatry, which is a branch of medicine. And psychiatry is practiced at the hospital level psychiatry is also practiced at the community level, the community-based psychiatry. So the scope of the psychiatry is to prevent, to diagnose, and manage mental diseases. Mental health, in contrary, as I've said, is an operational scope of WHO. At this level,
When you say WHO, I wanted to ask you the first time.
Yeah.
It has come up again. What's the full abbreviation of that?
World Health.
World Health Organization,
Okay.
WHO.
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 Okay.
Yes. So, considering mental health, we are globally at the population level. We have a population, and the aim is to maintain the population healthy in the mental point of view. And a certain strategy should be launched at the country level, at the institutional level, at the community level, in order to promote.
Yes, we're going to come to that aspect of it in the course of the program.
Yes.
What is the situation of mental health in Cameroon? If it is a problem, do you admit that it's a problem, as we have in our topic, that mental health is a threat, is a problem in Cameroon? What is the situation in Cameroon?
The situation of mental health in Cameroon should be analyzed at least at three levels: at the individual level, at the institutional level, and at the country level. I'm going to start by the individual level. Globally, there is a lot of conflict, a lot of trauma, road accident, violence at the social level, family violence, couple violence, violence at the school. A lot of trauma, road accident, war in certain part of our country. So all this lead to negative mental health, and if nothing is done, the negative mental health will lead to mental diseases.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for you've brought it up so logically,
Yes.
and you've touched on one aspect that sends me to Dr. Tueke, who is right from Bamungo in the northwest region. You traveled overnight. Thank you for taking that invitation seriously and coming over to clarify us. Dr. Kamga has talked about some of the causes, and he's talked about trauma, he's talked about crisis. You are in a crisis zone in Cameroon. What is the situation? How has the crisis affected the problem of mental health in the Northwest, and particularly where you work?
Thank you, Mr. Killian. From Dr. Kamga and the present situation in the country, mental health is really a threat. Talking about crisis and the area where we are coming from the family aspect, the individual aspect, because when a mental health has to come to you, I try to look at it holistically. Since our institution is since about 60 years and above, from late Tumenta Matthias, treating people using combined therapy, blending traditional and modern to help the individuals. With the crisis, conflict is a threat, neither to the individual, the community, the region, but then as an individual, the perception of whatever situation takes you to a level where you don't reason normally. Now, the expectation is different. The perception may be a reality. Now, the vision of whatever and the challenges are enormous that people do take decisions before they realize. And now the challenges after you are taking a decision now put you in a situation where you can't make it. Stress sets in. Conflict sets in from individual levels, family levels, and now coming in the community-based center where we are in Babungo, in Gokutunja. the level of understanding, behavior have increased. Drugs usage, alcohol consumption, just for maybe solving one problem or another, has taken the mental situation to a level where it's a threat not only to the country, but to all families and communities. It's really a threat. That is a call for concern. This topic is very important in the sense that
Yes, it's important. That's why we brought it up and then we brought it down from Bamenda. Tell us, you were working in the Bamongo Integrated Health Center before the crisis, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, what's the situation of the cases you have before the crisis and now during the crisis? The crisis that has run already for eight years, or getting to 9.
before the crisis, there was some kind of stability. The number was reducing. We have experts who could come down, work with us, continuous capacity building, continuous adaptation in the changing environment. Now the number was increasing in a way where you have referrals and counter referrals, people were able to come. But now since movement at times with the insecurity has stepped, a lot of people abandoned now even in the center. Before, parents could even visit. Now they cannot visit. And the people we have there, following them up becomes an issue. Feeding them becomes an issue. And now the ID people running to come in the place where they feel safe. It's not only the mental students we are having. Formerly they say psychiatric patient. No, we call them students because they are part of the family. It's reducing stigma. When you say a mental case or a psychiatric case, first of all, the community itself, at large, it's a taboo saying somebody have a mental disorder. That's why in the community, even when you call me, they'll say, John Chrisman. I accept, because dealing with them, you must commune, you must do a lot of activities.
Sometimes you behave like them for them to accept you. Is that what you do sometimes?
You have to take in meals. You have to. If they give you a blow, you have to. When they are hyperactive, you become down. When they are down now, you can tell them what you ought to tell them. Because the episode comes like people who are hallucinating or hearing voices. It's a disease condition. Mental health is like any other disease. But present situation now down there is that the increasing number of people consuming substance and drug and the conflict has brought in a lot of people coming for safe haven where they know they can be attained to the center through education, through our integrated approach of activities that we are doing from primary level to professional level. So we have increased number, but less communication and presence from parents. They have the affection.
Yes. Tell us about some of the cases that are in your center who have come from situations of trauma from the crisis.
Yeah, we have people who have come because of the crisis.
Give us one example. What did the person lose, for example? What happened to the person and then they got traumatized?
Losing a family member, losing a loved one from attacks from both parties. Now, just that fact that you are losing somebody you did not believe that this can happen. It's a perception in the sense that say, this person has said, wow, the information given to you, the way you perceive the information.
It's a shock to you.
Yeah, it's a shock. Receiving that information is very stressful. It's traumatizing. And now, depression now sets in. Now you don't accept the actual situation. Maybe even with the killing, you have not seen the person. Getting to know, seeing even the condition of the person.
No, there's a body. It's a source of trauma.
You
are very correct. You're going to tell us what the challenges you have in that center. And probably tell us, as you say, you blend the modern and the traditional way of taking care of these cases. You're going to tell us. We'll come back to you. But when you were talking, you made mention of lack of communication, or rather insufficient communication. We have someone here. Willie Sani is a journalist, she's a community health worker. She actually communicates a lot, but we think it's not sufficient. Tell us, first of all, what you do, Willie Sani. How are you using communication to break the stigma he was talking about and some other things?
Thank you very much, Kilian, and good afternoon to everybody. So the work that we do in terms of communication as health specialists in communication sector is to, first of all, bring information to people, because like the doctor mentioned, people do not know the difference between mental health and mental health diseases or mental health disorders. So the minute they just hear mental health, they just go like scared, or they say this is like I say in local parlance, colo mental. So what we do is to bring the right information, because people lack that information, and to raise awareness about the different kinds of mental disorders. Like you mentioned, Hiteto, there are different kinds of mental disorders and at different levels. So you have to explain to them that this person, even though you seem physically fit, he could be going through a mental health disorders. And then, like you mentioned, there's a lot of stigma and shame around mental health issues. If you go to families that have people that have more serious issues like schizophrenia or kleptomania or even bipolar disorders, you realize that they hide them, or they do not want people to know that they have such people, and they even lock them up in rooms, and sometimes they even beat them. And so we are communicating for behavioral change to tell individuals that it's okay to have mental health disorders. You can seek help, to tell family members that support your relative, to tell the community that provide that support. Do not neglect these families, because like he mentioned, it's a holistic approach. We need everyone to come on board to help the individuals and to help ourselves too. And then one of the things that we do is advocacy. Like the doctor mentioned, we do not have enough experts and facilities that when it comes to mental health. So we are advocating through our platforms as journalists that more should be done in terms of providing us with information, providing facilities, providing health professionals, so that we can have better response to mental health.
If I may just ask, you've been doing this. Assess a bit where you are with the communication. What has changed? Give us some examples.
What has changed is that in the past, because I've been doing this for 11 years, give and take, and when we started talking about this with Professor Ntone, who is really an ace in this sector, people were not receptive. They did not understand the message, and they found it hard to dissect the information, to assimilate the information. But we realized the importance of breaking down this information to the age-specific, gender-specific, context-specific, language-specific groups of persons. That is why right now we try to work with community leaders. We work with those who can better explain these concepts to the local community. And we have realized that more and more people are beginning to accept people with mental health disorders. So there's that behavioral change. People are more receptive. People understand the phenomenon better. And we now have many more mental health activists on the ground. Many non-profits are working on. In fact, over the past 3 years, many NGO, civil society organizations have sprung up working in the space of mental health. But in the past, you couldn't really find them, and you couldn't really find people that are saying boldly that, okay, I'm standing to fight for the rights of people with mental health disorders. I'm standing to defend their rights and stuff like that. So there's an improvement. It's not enough, but more work has to be done. But right now, we have noticed a considerable
We have to give you a pat on the back for that work that you're doing, producing results. When you were talking, you also talk about community. And in Dr. Kamga's introduction, where he defined mental health, he talked about productivity as part of it in the society. We have Dr. Tumenta F. Kennedy, who is a development expert. How do we factor in development as either failing or having problems because of the problem that mental health brings to our society?
Yeah, thank you very much, Kilem. I think this is a very important topic, and many years back, what CRTV went down to Babongo at the Babongo Integrated Mental Health Care Center and did a study to figure out what is happening. Just to show you the scope, if I'm listening at Dr. Kamga and John, with my dear sister speaking,
Ulisani.
The whole issue is about creating an environment for creativity, productivity, and economic development. In post-independent, 1953 to 59, you can imagine talking about mental health. It was not part of our health infrastructure. But that center was there. Community, mental health, blending tradition, giving opportunities for young people to develop. Take it after that. the district medical officer, Professor Dr. Lantum of blessed memory, discovered that the essence of public health at that moment was to provide treatment. And the best thing that happened was that they were able to meet someone that you bring, call it in quote, a mad person there, and then he treats and he goes back and is productive. So the African Union, just to show you why it's so important, the African Union asks every government, the head of state agreed, that 15% of their national budget should be put to health. And you can imagine with the plethora challenges that our country has and others, we have only 1% of the budget allocated to the Minister of Health being sent to mental health. We have no budget for mental health. So how does it affect productivity? As you said, the government today is asking for import substitution, creativity. We need an enabling environment to attract investors to come in. You need entrepreneurial mindset where people have the ability to think creative and produce. You want a community where people are appreciated for what they do. And once a community is violent, once a community is not sound, once the hygienic nature of the mental dispensation of people is not there, creativity is destroyed, entrepreneurship is destroyed. And therefore the contribution to development through innovation, creativity, productivity reduces. I mean, the World Bank, the World WHO, the
World Health Organization,
actually estimate that Cameroon is losing approximately 250 million of productivity because of inability to improve the mental health dispensation, facilities, infrastructures, and personnel. So what I'm saying is that mental health, it plays a fundamental role in promoting economic and balanced development in an economy.
Yes, Dr. Kamga, you are at Jamon Hospital in Yaoundé. I think that is the center for all mental disorder. Let me talk about mental disorder, not only mental health as such. Now, what is the situation? What do you do to patients who come there? How do you reduce stigma? Because it is actually what people think when they hear you've been taken to the Jamon Hospital. It is a scare.
Yes, after 15 years of clinical practice in Jamon Hospital, we have observed that people more and more are coming in the psychiatric service very freely. We receive at all ages, children, teenager, adult, and old people. The attendance is very, very high today, and the service is in a restructuration in order to increase the number of office to receive patients. In terms of belief concerning mental diseases in general, the awareness of mental disease, the knowledge and the practical attitude towards mental disorder has increased in the positive way. There is a reduction of stigma globally. There is one activity we call psychoeducation. We discuss with patients and their family, and at the end of the consultation, we can give them their diagnosis. And we also encourage them even to use ITC. They can go to Google, type the name of the disease we gave to them, schizophrenia, mental depression, bipolar disorder, and so on. They can read and realize that the description of the disease they are reading is confirmed to what they have observed in their family member carrying the disease. So they are more and more
accepting,
yes, accepting and receptive. And the communication at the level of the family and the society, many old patients and many family will detect mental ill patient in the community and refer them in the hospital. How we manage globally is first prevention, second clinical management, including medication, psychotropic medication prescription, psychotherapy. But at the end, when the patient is stable mentally, we will now organize what we call rehabilitation of the person and social, school, and professional reinsertion. And we are very active at that level. A student who have stopped his study, a worker who have stopped his job, at the end, we issue medical report. In the beginning first, to clearly indicate to their school authority and the various administration at the job level that the patient is admitted or the patient is actively follow up.
Yes.
At the end of the process, we will see issue medical report in order to give some information that the patient now is stable and his state is compatible to start back his job. And we will really emphasize on that point to avoid stigma at the job place.
Okay.
And at the school level also.
That's important. One quick question to you. We are talking about people who are going through stigma. Some of you have told us before. Do you confirm that every human being has a certain degree? Every human being, I want to underline, has a certain degree of mental problem. And how is that possible?
Yes, if we consider in terms of the personality of the person, in terms of the functioning of the psychism, we can have a person without any sign and symptom of mental disease, but the psychological functioning may be sometimes disturbed, can be rigid due to defense mechanism, due to coping mechanism the person is using. And when a person faces certain problem, like trauma, like conflict, the person will try to cope. The coping mechanism can be inoperative. And so the person can develop a behavior which is not adapt to the situation, which is not adapt to the environment. So in terms of mental problem, yes, all people can have a mental problem. It depends on the proportion. All of us, we face stress daily. Stress is elsewhere. We face conflict every day. We face trauma, just the fact to view a movie or to watch information, they are traumatized image.
Yes. Graphic pictures, but graphic images that can traumatize you. And get. Thank you so much. I'm going to go to the doctor from Bamongo Integrated Health Center, but I will pass through Dr. Kennedy and Willie Sani. Dr. Kennedy, first of all, Dr. Kamga was talking about reinsertion, and you are versed with reinsertion. What part does reinsertion play in re-establishing people who have gone through difficult situations?
So thank you very much. I think the ultimate goal of every health management is to make sure that the individual should become a productive element of the society. And reinsertion should be integrated at the beginning, not at the end. The biggest challenge we have seen with reinsertion is that, beside being ill or having some symptoms and, diseases, the problem is getting back into the society and become a productive part. And we have virtually little or no institutions and programs that takes these people and reintegrate them into the program. In companies, if someone is...
Let's not be talking about generalities. Let's take the DDR, that is the disarmament, demobilization, and the reinsertion commission that we have in Cameroon, with people who have gone to the bushes, who have killed, who have committed things, atrocities that were not part of them. And we think that their reasoning is no longer normal.
Yes.
Yes. Well, let's use that example.
So those two examples. First one is that those elements, those programs are so important because the ultimate goal is to make sure that they could become auto-sufficient, meaning that they can become a productive element. Today, we are happy that programs like that are very specific are now producing individuals that own companies. They are doing other things. Secondly, what I wanted to say here is that besides specific programs like the DDR, which is, I want to salute the job done by Fayengo, but the issue with mental health is that it eats the whole family. Let me explain to you. The family itself pays approximately 72% of their income just to get this person treated.
That's correct, I think.
72% of their income just to get this person treated. Secondly, when the people come back, the communities, everybody say, you get Chris speaking for your house, you get this man for your house. So the community is now rejecting this person. So you need somewhere, that's where we come in. Entrepreneurship training, leadership training, making sure that they can become productive in agriculture, in other activities, that they can become productive themselves. But again, nobody can pay it. That is why economists like us, we are also asking the government to continuously extend the program like the DDR, which has become a very big success, but they should go to certain organizations that are providing this community service and eliminate tax payment. If you look at organizations like BIMEC, they pay taxes, but why should they pay when they provide, where patients are allowed for 15 years in this center, they are fed, they are given food, just like he said, and they have to still pay taxes. So I believe that reinsertion has proven to be the final part of public health, and we believe that programs like that, vocational training programs, has to be subsidized and supported. And if you just move to L'Hôpital Jameau here, these guys are treated very well, but once they get back to the community, peer pressures, community rejections makes them to turn around and say, hey, we are rejected. That's why you have programs like the Loft home and Jameau that are there, making sure that you keep these people. The biggest problem is not in there, but how are they integrated in what Dr. Kanga calls societal health approach.
I will take this advantage, you talked about it, to salute the work that Mr. Fayengo Francis is doing. Mr. Fayengo Francis and his team. It's a big center for disarmament, demobilization, and reinsertion in Meme, that's in the far north region. We have one in the northwest, we have one in the southwest, and the population there, we get pictures, we get reports that there's a lot of work going on. I come back to you, Willie Sani. We've been talking about trauma, stress. How is this a tipping point to getting people overboard? How can depression? Everybody gets to a certain level of depression, like Dr. Kamga said. How are you in the same line of making people not to have the stigma Dr. Kennedy is also talking about? What prospects do you have in your communication agenda?
Okay, thank you very much, Keegan, for that question. Like the doctor mentioned, we all have different coping mechanisms, and you can tell the difference between people who are going through mental health disorders and those who are fine, per se, because of the way they can be able to handle shock. They can be able to handle stress. I mean, we all can go through stress, but what is the result of that stress? Do you commit suicide? Do you break down? And that's where the balance comes in. How can you, as an individual, holistically manage yourself in the face of adversity, in the face of stress, in the face of crisis? That gets you different from other people. We all come from different backgrounds. We face different challenges. And so sometimes some people have their breaking limits. So it depends on how far you can go with the societal pressure, economic pressure, and all of that. But to come back to answer your question, when we are communicating, we want people to understand that somebody can be fine, but they are still going through mental health issues. That's why you have to communicate with your children at home, communicate with your spouse, because they just say, okay, when they say someone is resilient, it's like it's a prestigious thing. There's nothing prestigious about being a strong woman or being a man that does not cry. We need to, demystify all of these things in the society and make it okay for people to express themselves, for people to cry, for children to, in family you hear parents saying that boys don't cry. And so you bring a boy up, bottling up his emotions, and then in the future he explodes because he has been trying to manage it on his own. So let's not create a society where people are moving up as bottled ticking time bombs. We need to help people to communicate their feelings, to express how they feel, have the opportunity to come on platforms like this and talk about their challenges without any shame or stigma. Because sometimes some people come on our radio program and they are begging us, please do not call the name of the child or call the name of the person in the family, because they know what is going to happen after the program in the society. It could be the family, stigmatizing and shaming that family. It could be the society. And like Dr. Timenta mentioned, when someone leaves from these centers or programs like JAMO and goes back to society, your family is the first to reject you. The society rejects you, and that's why you find people committing suicide, young people especially. And so that's why on our programs we try to educate the population that accept people, allow people to express themselves. And if you notice a behavioral change in a child, in a wife, in a husband, approach them and discuss with them, seek help, because we don't have a culture where we go to the hospital until we feel pain. But when you begin to realize that your a child's behavioral pattern or your spouse's behavioral pattern is changing, take them to the hospital. Therapy is not something that is common in Cameroon, because nobody will find themselves just going to sit in a room and talking to somebody how they're feeling. It's not in our culture. But we need to more and more encourage this kind of culture for people to express themselves, say how you're feeling. That's the way that we can manage our mental health issues, because like they say, it happens inside of you. People do not really see it until it begins to manifest itself more seriously. So the communication is for us to be able to understand, to be able to break the shame, to be able to break the stigma, and for everyone to have access to at least primary health care.
Yeah, thank you very much. In the process of breaking the stigma, breaking the shame, when I was going through some little research on this topic, I came across factors that affect mental health. And one of the areas is the socio-economic area. And there I have poverty. You've talked about trauma, of course. We've not actually talked about lack of opportunity and discrimination. So when you go around, we know in some parts of Cameroon, the poverty level is 67%. Not down south, down up north. That is established. It's on record. That's like that. But even here, we have the safety net projects that have identified people in the economic political capital who are living with us in Yaoundé, Douala, and other places, who are very poor and are almost living below the poverty line. So when you go out, those are areas also in the research that would discover cause mental issues. How do you address these common problems like poverty?
Yeah, I mean, poverty is something that can be assessed differently, because I could be by you and I think that I'm poor just because you're richer than me. But of course, generally speaking, there is a line of standard of living that is regarded as being poor. Now, sometimes some people are poor, but they don't even realize that they are poor and they're still living happily. Sometimes I go to the rural areas and the peri-urban areas. You find people that are living on less than, $2 per day, and they're fine, they're happy, their family is moving on well. But when you come to realization that what I'm going through is stressful for me, I cannot take it anymore as a father of the family, as a mother of the family, that's where the mental health issues come in. So poverty is indeed a main factor that even causes stress, because when you're not able to take care of your children, you're not able to pay their fees, your wife is insulting you, useless man, or your husband is insulting you, go out there and make money. Those can be factors that can cause anxiety and stress for families. So yes, poverty is indeed an underlying factor.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And let me just also underline that where poverty can easily be felt is more in town than in rural areas, because in a rural area, somebody can go for 1 week without having 200, 500 francs, but the person has 10 bunches of plantain, has a bag of corn, has so many other things, and they measure it probably in terms of physical cash, which they may be richer than some people who have a lot of money in town. So poverty also.
But it's not only about food, Killian. What about other aspects of life?
Yes, if you
Yes,
have
yes,
that,
we-
you can sell some, use some, and then solve your problem.
Not
with
everybody
some
is a farmer in the rural areas. I'm sorry, you don't have access to healthcare. You don't have access to basic needs like your clothes, like sanitary pads. That does not make you rich because you have fufu corn or you have a njapse.
You're very correct, but I also think that in the village it's easy to go to the next door and ask for salt, and go to the next door and ask for something they will give you. But in town, you will not ask your neighbor because you're afraid you become a laughing stock. So, well, let's leave it at that. I'll go to Dr. Ntweke, who is from Bamungo. Tell us how you manage to treat, to handle mental health issues from very difficult patients, and you say you are mixing, you are combining, you are blending the traditional and the modern methods. So what do you do?
Thank you, Mr. Killian. Not I per se, is generational inheritance. BMEC, as we see today, is since 1959 by late Pa Matthias Tumenta, who was treating, working with other paramedicals through referral and counter referral. So we were opportune to come out from the family and look at the kind of benevolent job he was doing. We also have the opportunity to go to a conventional health school to become as nurses so that we could keep adding value to what was started since in 1950. As Dr. Kamga mentioned and Mr. Tumenta, that the late Professor Lantum, as a renowned professor in public health, Dr. Kamga happens to be one of his students, was also sent to also visit the center to also do that kind of comparative study and to attract experts through voluntary service overseas when they were still in Cameroon. They only left Cameroon in 2014. That we succeeded to have a volunteer from the Netherlands that we have to also do the comparative way of treating. Yes, we have, nature has made it possible that through the plants you are able to remedy persons, families with psychiatric problems. Now, holistically, we look at it as a chair with four legs. The major leg is that of the family. The family has a family of procreation, the family of origin, meaning the father has his own side is coming, the mother has his own side. Now they have come together to form one family. Now children sets in. When that child in the family now start developing mental problems, you start seeing from the behavior. Either people will be telling you that, oh, we have seen something wrong in your son. Maybe the son is growing with somebody else. Now it becomes one leg of that chair. Now the child there's a conflict now with the parents. Where are we going to take this child? They start looking for different institutions. Some people may say you go to this church, you may meet an exhaustive priest, you may meet a prophet. They say go to a clinical hospital, you go to Jamon, all our institutions. You go to healing homes, all our institutions. Now, that is the third leg of the chair. Now, in those institutions, you have the workers, be it the doctor, be it the herbalist. You must be able to pose that re-diagnosis. When you pose that the diagnosis, first you have to say, how do we stabilize the person? You go back to the family. You must work with that family in such a way that they have to understand. People have different perception, different myths about their children having this. They start blaming A, blaming B, whereas environmental factors, substance abuse, or maybe you send your child in a good boarding school, there you don't know substance are passing. So there are a lot of environmental activities.
Yeah, you're talking about, if I understand you well, what you've said is psychosocial treatment.
Perfect.
Yes, now that's psychosocial, which is in modern medicine. So what other thing do you do as a traditionalist?
There are what we call a broom, which is ancestral broom. It helps to calm. There are some herbs being transformed that you take it as inhalers. Then there are 21 different plants that you tie them in patterns of 7. That makes it the 21 plants bring together, you make it for a bundle, and that bundle now you do it, we call it decoction. And they take 1/4 a glass 3 times per day. And then the children now become very aggressive. There is what we call in a similar term Mumba. When you give them that small medication, it calms them. But now with modern technology that have come to blend, that when we have now expert coming, we work now, it has fastened the treatment. Okay. But in terms of cost, the modern, you need to be ready. The herbal, well, with negotiations, you see people help, but it's difficult to go to the bushes to get all those plants.
How many cases have you successfully treated?
If you take from 1959 up to now, it's 400,000 Cameroonians and out of Cameroon that has been treated by the
Yes,
by the
at that time you took over from your parents, forefathers. I'm talking about you in particular.
Now we have about 100,000 persons that we have treated in combination with referral and counter-referral.
If some people listen or watch you now and know that you are doing that and they send in 200 to 300 cases now, do you have the capacity to handle them?
We will say no. We have a space is limited because the resources in taking care of them. There are different intersectoral collaborations that plays a role. You need good nutritionists. You need good psychosocial social workers. It's not one department that handles a mental health. We can manage up to 100 according to our.
So
our
those are the challenges you have.
The challenges.
Okay, we are just about a few minutes to go to the end of our program, but we have to take the microphone round. I'm just going to start with you. What would you say is a take-home message? We listen and take time and let people know this mental health issue. If you were asked to, as a community health worker, advise society, advise those who work as you are, what will you say?
I would say that there is no health without mental health. So we as individuals, as a family, as a community should learn to accept anybody going through mental health issues and provide support. It takes a family, it takes a community, it takes a nation to be able to have good mental health.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kamga. How do we handle cases in the family that are so violent? Because sometimes they are just too violent, and those are those who are still in the family. Those who have left the family are in the streets. How do we handle that briefly so that they get to the centers and to the hospitals like yours?
Thank you for the question. Violence is a symptom, it's not a disease. And by investigating clinically, we will come out with the diagnosis of bipolar disorder, with the diagnosis of schizophrenia, called madness by population. We will come out with the diagnosis of alcoholism, of toxicomania. We will properly manage now those diseases, and the violence behavior will disappear. Mm-hmm. Yes. We face a lot of violence in the society. Those violence is not addressed. The family sometimes don't have a good orientation to bring them to us. All type of violence, behind all type of violence, there is a mental disease which need to be diagnosed and cured.
So the cases should be brought to the centers?
Yes, to the center with multidisciplinary management.
Dr. Tuminta F. Kennedy, are you going to talk about development or reinsertion?
So what we have learned from this...
Remember, that is the way out. It's,
yes, it is. We can't afford not to put money into the processes of mental health, because we are losing 230 million in Cameroon itself every year without treating because of loss in capacity. So we expect that the government and partners should support institutions like this, most especially for reinsertions. It's so important. And we need to increase capacity building at the different hospitals. We need to make sure that institutions for reinsertions like what we are doing receive those supports. Communications is so important. So I believe, Killian, it is a development crisis if we don't do it. some of the job that we do as economists to attract investors, we will not be able to do that because young people will be very, very destabilized and our society will be very hostile. So I believe that reinsertion is important, but financing mental health is of utmost important. Therefore, the government should create a specific budget for mental health itself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tuminta F. Kennedy. You are an entrepreneur. If there's anyone who has someone who has to be reinserted into the society, they can contact you. You're going to give them the skills that will make them become as normal as they were before they got into the situation. Thank you so much, Dr. Kamga Jean-Pierre. You are from the Jamoh Hospital in Yaoundé. You are a psychiatrist. You are also a senior lecturer at the University of Yaoundé 1. And we also advise everyone who has watched this program, if you have any case, your family member who is in the streets, who is getting violent in the house, get that person to the Jamoh Hospital. You will get a solution from there. And Wilisani Mokwe Nkeng, a community worker, journalist, specialized in health. If you know that you have a case to advise a person, call her. If you don't have her contact, call me. I will give you. She will come and give you very sound counsel. Thank you so much, Dr. Tweke, John Chrisman, because you have that name, the nickname, because you treat people who have mental disorder from Bamungo Integrated Center, Health Center. Yes, say it.
Yes, I think I have one word for the general public, is that mental health can only improve if people are connected, if family feels connected, they feel improved. When family receives them, they feel connected, and we should stop exclusion and dare to care.
Yes.
They will solve the mental health.
Yes, it's also on that note that we thank you for coming. We also want to thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for creating time for this program. And we will propose that you watch us again on Sunday next week. We're going to bring up another edition of Press Hour only for you. Thanks a lot for watching.